Packers at the Dolphins. No joke. 11 a.m. this morning, this line was at 5.5. I bet it at 5.5. It is at 4.5, and it is falling so fast. And if it had stayed at 5.5, it 100% would have been my executive decision. I still like
Yeah.
it at 4.5.
Yeah, still like it a lot of 4.5. It's classic. The team splits are just atrocious. Like Miami, their defense, clearly something is wrong. Like they just keep giving up tons of yards every game. There's no stopping it. On the flip side, Green Bay, they know exactly what they are now, right? They're a team that, crazy to say, but that kid Watson has kind of been a revelation for that team. Like the fact that Rodgers has a guy he can have trust with has opened things up. We saw last game with the running backs. That opens things up when you have a receiver that can get downfield, and they have to account for that. Where AJ Dillon, Aaron Jones, that is a legit two-headed monster, and that's what we all expect to come to the year. They lean on, but they had no receivers, so the teams were just stacking the box, and Rodgers couldn't really do anything early in the year. I mean, they figured a lot out these last couple of weeks. I mean, if this was earlier in the season, we'd all have a way different tune on Green Bay. We'd probably view them as a team that's probably going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
It's just a little too late for that. But at the same time, they still think they can get in. Like they're not taking anything off. Rodgers is playing. He played this week. He says he's playing this week again. There's just something about that Green Bay team where I'm not gonna lie to you, Chad. When this first came out, I was like, nice. I'll buy a low on Miami here. This line will probably be 3. I was shocked. It opened at 5.5, and that gave me
Yeah.
pause. Where I didn't bet it because I was like, I'm way off on this line. But like you just talked about, it kind of makes more sense now when you're really thinking about it. Where this is just a good matchup for a Green Bay team where Miami's good. I do expect they'll win this game. It'll be a close game. Like Miami's not the team we all thought they were. Like that was a devastating road trip for them. I was all over the 49ers. That was a scheduled loss for them, playing that 49ers team on the road. Miami got humbled really quick. The Chargers won. We love that number. That was a 3.5. That was one of those where I was like, okay, Miami will win this, but they're going to lose by a field goal. They lost it outright. They were desperate in that Bills game. Like they had that game. They had the ball. They were driving. They could have ate the clock up, kicked the field goal, and that would have been game. Tua got flustered. He gave it up. He punted. Josh Allen drove the field. They won. Like that's what is the difference between them and the Bills. So this Miami team, we'll love them next year. They're just not as good as the public perceives them as. And the fact that this line is what it is, it kind of lets you know what the public thinks of Green Bay. They're still not buying in on them. Where, like Chad just said, I think we're still getting a good number here. Is this going to be one of our 5? Debatable because we don't know where the line's going, but a 4.5, I could be talking to playing this in the contest.
Yeah, I kind of love this game. I feel like a lot of defensive have figured out what to do with the Dolphins receivers, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And the Packers, their strength is their defensive secondary and their ability to jam receivers, which is what teams have been doing against the Dolphins the past few weeks. And look, we've talked about this, we've joked about it, that we said a month ago it's time to start fading the Dolphins, that their upcoming schedule, they were going to San Francisco. I think it was the Chargers. They were in Buffalo.
Yeah, we went 3 on that road trip. We faded them twice, then we rode with them against Buffalo.
Yeah. And so, I feel like we got a pretty good beat on this team. And I do think the Packers are a little bit like the Jags. Like you made a really good point. The Jags, like they needed some time to get to the season, and now we love them. Other people love them. The Packers are one of those teams where they're on the upswing. And like their defense has been getting a lot better the last 6 weeks. One of the top 6 defenses in the NFL the past 6 weeks against the pass. And they're not good at stopping the run, but the Dolphins don't run. So I love it.
And the only worry now with us backing the Dolphins here is the fact that they do play obviously better at home. We saw that week 1, they won 20-7 at home week 1. Fast forward later in the season, me and Chad were on Cleveland. Cleveland went down to Miami. Miami won 39-17. They had a bye week. Then they were at home against Houston. They were up 30-0 at halftime. So we've seen them dominate and have explosive performances against bad teams. I just don't know if Green Bay's that bad. Like I don't know if I put them in the same category as those 2 defenses in Houston and Cleveland, where those defenses have been struggling. Like Chad said, Green Bay for the most part, their defensive woes have kind of been figured out here down the road. So we don't need them to win. Just keep it close. I think that's where we're getting here with this number.